Revealed. The incredible journey of a single mom delivery girl who captivated a millionaire CO. Jessica squinted against the afternoon sun as she stood beside her delivery bike, her breath coming in steady puffs. The streets of Chicago pulsed around her, horns blaring, people rushing, and the ever-present smell of hot dogs wafting through the air. As a single mom and delivery girl, her days were a whirlwind of packages, late-night orders, and picking up 8-year-old Lucy from school. But each challenge, every delivery she made, felt like a step toward a better future for her daughter. Today was just another day, or so she thought. As she entered the glossy lobby of a high-rise office building in River North, the stark contrast of her worn jeans against polished marble made her heart race. She was there to drop off a package, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being a fish out of water. Just as she was about to leave, she bumped into Evan, CEO of a tech startup, looking like he walked straight out of a GQ magazine. His tailored suit and confident stride made her stomach tighten. How could someone like him even notice a girl like her? Need help with that? Evan asked, eyeing her heavy delivery bag with a warm smile. Jessica shrugged it off, managing a half-hearted "I'm good" as she slipped past him, her heart thumping wildly. He was just another one of those privileged folks, she thought. But he didn't let that stop him. Days turned into weeks, and their paths crossed more often than she anticipated. Initially, he seemed dismissive of her job, viewing it as beneath him. Yet, with each subsequent meeting, she saw something shift. His eyes softened as they told tales of life as complexities. Jessica shared snippets of her struggles, like juggling bills and chasing Lucy's dreams. Evan listened, genuinely captivated. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As their friendship bloomed over late-night texts and coffee runs, the connection between them deepened. Jessica inspired Evan, reminding him of the values he traded for success. But lurking around them were whispers and judgments. Colleagues eyed her with skepticism. What does she have to offer? They scoffed. But their blossoming bond had its cracks. When Lucy fell ill, the weight of daily struggles threatened to crush Jessica. Bills stacked up, and as she fought to keep food on the table, Evan reached out, offering support. But accepting help felt like betraying the independence she had fought so hard to uphold. Faced with her worst nightmare, medical bills, and an aching heart, Jessica wondered if pursuing this unexpected connection would stretch her too thin. Could love exist in a world so rapidly trying to tear them apart? Standing at a crossroads, she had only one certainty. She couldn't let go of her dreams for Lucy. But with uncertainty thick in the air, the question lingered, could she risk everything for a chance at love and redemption? Jessica stood in her tiny kitchen, the air thick with the smell of simmering pasta. She looked down at the empty chair across the table, memories swirling in her mind. Lucy was still at her friend Kayla's house, her laughter echoing in Jessica's heart, but the silence felt heavy now. Without her daughter filling the space, uncertainty pressed down on her like a wet blanket. The evening had promised to be simple, just dinner and maybe a movie. But now, as the minutes ticked by, her thoughts drifted back to Evan. She couldn't shake the feeling of his gaze lingering on her, his genuine interest in her life. They were worlds apart. Each time he smiled at her, it lit up her otherwise mundane day. Yet, the nagging doubt remained. Did he really see her? Did he truly care? Or was it a fleeting moment of kindness? Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, shattering her reverie. It was a message from Evan. Hey, just checking in. How's Lucy feeling? Would you like to grab dinner tomorrow? A wave of warmth washed over her. Maybe he did care. But as she typed out her response, the familiar questions crept in. Should she accept? What if this dinner turned into something more? Was she ready to let someone else into her chaotic world? The thought of getting hurt again sent a shiver down her spine. After battling her mind for a few minutes, she wrote back, "Yes, I love that. Lucy is on the mend, thanks for asking." The butterflies fluttering in her stomach felt foreign yet inviting. The following day came too quickly. The sun hung low, casting a golden hue over the city. Jessica found herself standing in front of a trendy cafe, nerves dancing with anticipation. She fidgeted with her hair and checked her reflection in a store window. The shadows of her insecurities crept back as doubts clouded her mind. Was she overdressed? What if Evan realized just how ordinary she was? Pushing through the door, her heart raced as she spotted Evan at a table near the window, his head bent over his phone. He looked up, and their eyes locked. His smile melted her worries into a puddle of warmth. There was magic in those moments where everything else faded away. "Hey, you made it," he said, standing to pull out her chair. Jessica felt a thrill at his gallant gesture. Underneath the surface of her anxiety, something hopeful blossomed. They fell into conversation easily, sharing stories of childhood adventures, dreams, and laughter that reverberated with shared understanding. But when the moment came for her to talk about Lucy, the atmosphere shifted. "She is my world, Evan. I want to give her everything. Even when it feels like enough will never be enough," Jessica confessed, her voice trembling. "Hey," he said softly, reaching across the table. His hand brushed against hers, grounding her. "You're doing an amazing job. Lucy is lucky to have you." When Jessica met his gaze, the intensity of his warmth sent a cascade of feelings. Maybe she could share her world with him. Maybe they could be each other's strength. But no sooner had hope sparked in her heart that reality crashed back down when she heard a familiar voice from the door. Her blood went cold. There stood Claudia, one of Evan's colleagues, with a judging smirk plastered across her face. Jessica's heart raced. "Isn't that sweet?" Claudia chimed, her tone dripping with sarcasm. The delivery girl finally gets a chance to play with the big shots. Jessica's breath hitched. It felt like the floor had opened beneath her. She could feel Evan's hand pulling away. In that moment, all the fragile hope she had built began to crumble. What would happen now? How could she face him and herself? Caught in a web of insecurities, she wondered if she could stand up against the judgment looming around them, or if this was all too much to handle. Their moment of connection hung in the air, now threatened by reality's harsh glare. As Claudia approached them, the uncertainty loomed large. Would this be the end of whatever spark had ignited between them, or could they find a way through the storm? Jessica's heart beat faster as she readied herself for the confrontation. Because this time, more than ever, she wanted to fight for what she believed in even if it scared her. In that decisive moment, choices needed to be made. Should she defend herself and their bond, or would the weight of judgment force her back into her shell? Jessica could feel the tension thickening as she prepared to answer Claudia. Would she stand her ground? "Excuse me," Claudia sneered, leaning against the table, her arms folded mockingly. "Evan, I didn't know you were dating someone so down to earth." She tossed her hair over her shoulder, a calculated move to shift the attention back to herself. Jessica's mind raced. Down to earth? The words stung more than they should have. She could feel Evan's gaze darting between the two women, confusion flickering across his face. It was like being caught in a storm, the winds of uncertainty howling around her. Feeling a surge of determination, Jessica clenched her fists beneath the table. "And what exactly is wrong with being down to earth?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "At least I'm real. Unlike some people who hide behind fake smiles and empty compliments." Evan's eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and admiration flickering within them. There was a glimmer of something unspoken between them, an understanding that maybe this was a moment for her to reclaim her narrative. Claudia raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting this pushback. "Wow, fierce," she mocked. "I can see why he is intrigued." The delivery girl has fight. Each word dripped with ridicule, yet Jessica felt her spirit rise. The voice of a mother emerged. She had battled real struggles and faced real challenges for Lucy. "Actually, I'm a delivery driver. But even if I were just a delivery girl, it doesn't dictate my value as a person." Jessica shot back, her heart racing from the exhilaration of standing her ground. She aimed to keep her tone calm but firm. "I'm proud of what I do. It helps provide for my daughter, and that's what matters." Claudia rolled her eyes, clearly still dismissing her. The silence around the table thickened, and Jessica could feel Evan's warmth beside her, willing her to stand firm. She met his gaze, and for a moment, the room faded away. "You know what, Claudia?" Evan spoke up suddenly, his voice slicing through the awkward tension. "Jessica is doing an incredible job raising a wonderful daughter. You do well to think before you speak. Jessica's heart soared at his defense. He was choosing her. Claudia scoffed, feigning indifference. Sure, Evan. Whatever. Just remember where you came from when you're not sitting across from your amazing single mom anymore. With a flip of her hair, she stalked off, leaving behind a thick resentment in her wake. The moment Claudia left, Jessica felt a rush of emotions crash over her like a tidal wave. She had fought for herself, for her right to be respected, and it felt powerful. But now she also felt exposed. The moment now left them vulnerable. Evan reached for her hand again, his fingers brushing against hers. Are you okay? His voice was low, sincere. Yeah, I'm good. Just, she really knows how to push buttons, Jessica admitted, her heart still racing. But I'm more than that. I'm not just what she said. A small smile tugged at Evan's lips. You are so much more than that. Jessica's heart swelled, and warmth spread through her. For the first time, she felt seen, truly seen in all her complexities, beyond just being Lucy's mother or the girl who delivered food. They resumed their conversation, but the atmosphere had shifted. Jessica realized that this vulnerable moment drew them closer. Every laugh felt lighter, every shared story richer. But the tighter connection also came with its own anxiety. Because what if sharing her past meant unraveling parts of herself she wasn't ready to reveal? The evening flowed smoothly after the confrontation, but in the corners of Jessica's mind lingered thoughts of how to balance her new possibilities with the weight of her past and motherhood. Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Evan asked suddenly, catching her off guard. I have some errands to run with Lucy, she stumbled, but the desperation for connection outweighed her hesitation. Why? Let us hang out again. Just us. I want to see more of the real you, he said, leaning closer. Yes, I love that, she blurted out, her heart racing with excitement. But joy soon transformed into anxiety. So many questions raced through her mind. What if she had to confront old demons? Would she still be brave enough to stand her ground? As they walked out together, the night air cool against her skin, Jessica's heart fluttered with possibility. Could this be the turning point in her life? Would they both step into a new chapter together? Or would her past come crashing down and put an end to everything she dreamed of? The uncertainty hung in the air as they headed toward the parking lot, doubts swirling even as hope flickered like a candle in her heart. Would she be able to navigate this newfound relationship without losing herself? Jessica took a deep breath, grounding herself in the moment. The warmth from Evan's hand melded with the cool night air, anchoring her thoughts. Today had been a whirlwind, and while she felt empowered after standing up to Claudia, a small voice in her head whispered about the unknowns that lay ahead. Do you want to grab something to eat? Evan asked, breaking the silence. His eyes were bright, revealing a spark of genuine interest. It made her want to lean into that light, but anxiety pulled at her. Actually, I was thinking of taking Lucy to a new ice cream place, she replied, considering the sweetness that would lighten their evening. Maybe we can join you there? Sounds great. Ice cream is always a good idea, he chuckled, the tension breaking further, swirling into the sweet air of possibility. As they approached her car, Jessica fished through her bag for the keys. Each jingle sent a slight thrill through her chest. This was a date, a first real step into something fresh. Yet, lurking between her excitement were threads of anxiety that cut deep. Would Lucy even like him? I could bring you both dinner first, and we can enjoy it over ice cream. What do you think? Evan suggested, tilting his head with curiosity, genuinely considering Lucy's presence as if it was the most natural thing in the world. Dinner, then ice cream? She smiled, feeling the warmth spread anew. I like that plan. They drove off together, her heart racing as she navigated traffic. Every moment they shared felt infused with a new potential. Evan's laugh echoed in the car, and she caught herself stealing glances at him, tracing the lines of his jaw and the easy way he smiled. Grass and flowers swirled past her window, but all she could see was his kind, encouraging face. But as they chatted, hints from her past began to weave back into her mind, tangling around her excitement. Was she ready to let someone in? To invite another person into her carefully structured world with Lucy? What do you really enjoy doing? He asked suddenly, pulling her from the depths of her unease. She hesitated. The truth was, she'd lost herself in motherhood, her own passions falling by the wayside. I used to love painting, but life has been pretty busy, you know? Evan nodded, understanding brimming in his expression. I get that, but I think everyone deserves a piece of something they love, even with a kiddo in tow. He looked expectant, sparking a flicker of hope in Jessica's chest again. Maybe we can paint together sometime? His enthusiasm pulled her forward, and she felt the grip of her past loosen. Really? I'd like that, she replied, her voice thick with resolve. As they pulled into the parking lot of the restaurant, Jessica took a moment to breathe it all in. The bright lights dancing above them made everything feel alive. She was nervous and excited all at once. They stepped inside the cozy eatery, laughter and the clink of silverware creating a welcoming atmosphere. Time seemed to slip as they settled into their booth. The conversation flowed naturally. They swapped stories, each one unveiling a little more of themselves. But the laughter felt overshadowed by a question creeping into her mind like a persistent shadow. Would Evan still feel the same after he met Lucy? Would he accept her whole, imperfect life? I can't wait to meet your daughter, Evan said, slicing through her worries. The sincerity danced in his eyes, but suddenly she felt a chill creeping back in. Just don't expect me to be perfect, she said softly, fear creeping back into her voice. And Lucy can be a handful. Life isn't perfect, Jessica, he said, his tone warm and sincere. But that's what makes it interesting, right? I'm here for it. His reassurance wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, but doubts still simmered. Could she truly embrace all that he brought into her life? Would their worlds mesh, or would she end up drawing lines in the sand, switching from excitement to fear? As dinner wrapped up, Jessica would have to decide if she was ready to reveal Lucy and everything that came with being a single mom. But could their bond withstand the truth? The uncertainty coiled tightly within her chest as they walked to the car, and she couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to unfold. Would they both arrive at a point of acceptance, or would her fears drive them apart before they even had a chance to begin? As they approached the ice cream shop, a soft glow radiated from the cheerful sign hanging above the entrance, a colorful invitation that managed to melt some of Jessica's tension. She parked the car and looked back at Evan, who was already grinning in anticipation. Ready for a sugar rush? He teased, as they stepped out into the brisk night air. The scent of waffle cones wafted in the breeze, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. Despite her anxieties, Jessica felt a flicker of joy blossom within her. This was meant to be fun. Inside, the shop buzzed with laughter and chatter. Lucy was already bustling through her mind, her peculiar habits making Jessica anxious about the impending introduction. What if her daughter didn't like him? What if he felt overwhelmed by the chaos that came with being a single parent? Jessica, what's your go-to flavor? Evan asked, drawing her out of her internal chatter. Mint chocolate chip, she replied, smiling as she thought of the first time she'd shared that flavor with Lucy. That simple scoop had turned into a tradition, a tiny piece of time shared together amidst the chaos. Classic choice. I'm a cookies and cream guy myself, he said as they stepped up to the counter. Ordering felt oddly surreal. She was sharing this simple moment with Evan, and it held promise and echo of laughter and connection. But when she spotted the colorful ice cream toppings, her heart quickened at the thought of Lucy's excitement. I can just picture her, Jessica said with a laugh, imagining Lucy's eyes widening at the sight of sprinkles and gummy bears. Let us get toppings for all of us, then, Evan suggested. You can't have ice cream without sprinkles. His easygoing nature pulled her past her fears, igniting sparks of possibility within her. Together they built their Sunday creations, laughter spilling from them like the generous scoops of ice cream. Yet, as they leaned against the counter waiting for their treats, the thought of Lucy loomed larger than the colorful cone being handed to them. What if she didn't like what she was about to step into? Evan must have sensed her hesitation. You know, introducing someone new can be tough, he said softly, watching her face intently. But if you feel that it's right, it could be really special. Jessica bit her lip, feeling exposed. I wanted to be special. But what if it doesn't go well? Then we'll tackle it together, he assured her, his gaze steady. I'm not looking for a fairy tale, Jessica. Just a chance to get to know the real you and your world. She smiled, warmth spreading through her. How different this moment felt from the weight of her fears. As they exited the shop, the night sky sparkled with stars, and Jessica felt a renewed sense of determination. If Evan could be this open-hearted, shouldn't she take a step forward too? Let us pick her up, she said, feeling the thrill of adrenaline since this wasn't just about ice cream anymore. It was about letting someone into her life, the complexity of motherhood combined with the hope of new love. During the ride to Lucy's daycare, anticipation bubbled inside her. Evan's presence felt so right, and she wanted to share all of it. As they pulled into the parking lot, her heart raced. "Are you ready?" he asked, his voice steady but laced with excitement. "Yes, at least, I think I am," she replied, her voice faltering slightly. "But what if she doesn't like you?" Evan chuckled softly. "Then I'll work extra hard to win her over. I mean, how can anyone resist cookies and cream?" His playful spirit tugged at her heart. With a deep breath, Jessica stepped out of the car, determination stealing her nerves. The unknown was terrifying, but also thrilling. They crossed the path towards the daycare, and with each step, her heart pounded louder against her chest. Just as they reached the entrance, she froze. What if she is not ready for this? Then we take our time, Evan replied firmly, his eyes filled with resolve. Holding hands, they entered into a new chapter together, but what awaited them inside was still shrouded in uncertainty. Would Lucy embrace Evan, or would Jessica's worries cast a long shadow? The moment of truth loomed over her, and as she stepped through the door, she knew nothing would ever be the same again. Inside the daycare, the air buzzed with the sounds of little feet pounding against the floor and voices blending into a chorus of laughter. The bright murals on the walls depicted cheerful animals and scenes from fairy tales. Jessica felt a tinge of nostalgia wash over her as she scanned the space. This was Lucy's world, colorful and full of wonder. "What is the plan?" Evan asked quietly, breaking her reverie. "I guess we just find her," Jessica replied, her voice quaking slightly. She tilted her head to search for Lucy among the throng of bubbling children. "Look for the biggest smile," Evan encouraged, flashing a grin of his own that felt like an anchor amidst her rising anxiety. Jessica chuckled softly, but her heart raced as they made their way deeper into the room. Suddenly, Lucy appeared, her short brown hair bouncing around her as she giggled with her friends. Jessica's heart swelled at the sight of her daughter. In that moment, all the worries slipped away. Lucy was the embodiment of joy, a whirlwind of innocence and laughter. "Mom!" Lucy's voice rang out like a bell, crystal clear in the chaos. She bolted toward Jessica, her small arms outstretched. Jessica knelt down and wrapped her daughter in a tight embrace, inhaling the familiar scent of her hair, sweet and innocent, a comforting reminder of home. "Hey, Pumpkin, I missed you today," Jessica said, forcing back the wave of emotion that threatened to overcome her. "I made a drawing. Want to see?" Lucy bounced on her heels, pulling away slightly. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and for a moment, Jessica felt all her worries fade. "Yes, I do love that," Jessica replied, laughing at her daughter's enthusiasm. As Lucy dashed off in search of her masterpiece, Jessica turned back to Evan, who smiled softly, clearly captivated by the exchange. "I think she likes you," he whispered teasingly, nudging her gently with an elbow. "Let us not count our chickens just yet," Jessica replied, trying to lighten the mood. But her heart was swelling at the sight of Evan interacting naturally, admiring the colorful drawings hung along the walls. Moments later, Lucy returned, practically exploding with joy, holding up a crayon drawing of a rainbow surrounded by stick figures, one of which resembled Evan, albeit with a very large head. "Look, this is you," Lucy exclaimed, her cheeks flushed with pride. Evan knelt down between them, studying the drawing with exaggerated seriousness. "I love it. But why am I so big?" he asked, feigning confusion. "Because you're going to be my new best friend," Lucy quipped, her face full of eagerness. Jessica felt warmth spread through her. The words hung in the air, wrapping around her heart like a hug. It was so simple, yet loaded with promise. Could it really be that easy? Suddenly, the tension that had been burrowing itself in her mind melted away, replaced by excitement and hope. "Well, I'd be honored," Evan said solemnly, drawing a smile from both Jessica and Lucy. As the three of them settled into a corner of the bustling room, sharing giggles over the spontaneous art piece, Evan nudged Jessica, leaning closer. "This is nice, really nice," he murmured, But the comfort of the moment was punctuated by a new tension. Jessica couldn't ignore that this blissful harmony rested on the precarious edge of expectations. Could he truly accept both her and Lucy as they were? Just then, she identified the shadow of doubt creeping in again. "I hope she doesn't expect too much," Jessica whispered, her brow furrowing slightly. "Let her expect everything. We'll navigate the rest together," Evan replied, his gaze steady and unwavering. Outside, the evening sky began to darken, and Jessica felt a shift in the air, a new chapter awaiting them. But just as she was about to relish the moment, the daycare's phone rang, cutting through the laughter like a knife. The receptionist's voice rose above the chatter, and Jessica's heart sank. Something fell off. "Jessica," Evan said softly, eyeing the front desk. "Should we check that out?" "Something's not right," she replied, her stomach twisting into knots. As they walked towards the desk, Jessica struggled to suppress her worries. The night ahead was unfolding precariously, and the shadows of the unknown loomed again. What news awaited them? Would it shake the happiness they had started building tonight? As they approached the front desk, Jessica could feel the atmosphere shift. The laughter faded into an anxious murmur, and the receptionist's voice, normally bright and cheerful, was strained, tinged with urgency. Jessica's stomach churned as her heart hammered in her chest. "Excuse me," she called, forcing herself to sound calm, even as the panic gripped her. "What is going on?" The receptionist turned, her face pale. "There's been an incident with one of the children. We're waiting for emergency services," she explained, her words barely sinking in. Jessica felt the world tilt. "Which child?" she asked, desperation creeping into her voice. "Willow. She took a tumble during playtime," the receptionist replied, her eyes darting away as if she couldn't bear to meet Jessica's gaze. Lucy, still clutching her drawing, looked up at her mother. "Is Willow okay, Mommy?" The innocence in her voice stung. Jessica knelt down, forcing a smile. "Sweetheart, it's just a little accident. The grown-ups are taking care of her." But inside, doubt thrashed at her, twisting like a knife. Evan stepped closer, his hand finding Jessica's shoulder. "Maybe we should wait to see if they need parental support," he suggested carefully, his warmth grounding her. Before she could respond, the door opened with a sharp creak, and a few of Willow's parents rushed in, their expressions set with worry. The air thickened with anxiety as the two worlds clashed. The playroom, filled with carefree laughter, and the harsh reality of parents dealing with a fear that no one wants to face. Jessica felt the unsteady ground beneath her feet and pulled Lucy close. "How about we go find your favorite toy while we wait?" she suggested, desperate to redirect Lucy's attention. "Yes." Lucy hopped excitedly, but before they could move, a paramedic team dashed past them, rushing through the door. The steady, rhythmic beeping of equipment reminded Jessica of the stakes at hand. "Mommy, I want to see." Lucy squirmed in Jessica's arms. Jessica held her tighter, feeling Lucy's small frame tremble against her. "Not right now, Pumpkin. They're busy helping." Evan stepped back, glancing toward the commotion, a silent promise passing between them. This was an unexpected turn, testing them in ways they hadn't anticipated. Each waiting moment stretched, filled with uncertainty and fear. The minutes crawled, and Jessica felt as if she were caught in a waiting room of life, blinking against the overwhelming emotion bottled up inside her. The laughter of children faded away entirely, replaced by thick silence mingled with muted voices. Even Lucy seemed to sense the gravity of the situation. Her sparkle dimmed, and she latched onto Jessica like a lifeline. When a nurse finally appeared at the desk, Jessica's pulse quickened. The woman's face was composed, but her eyes held shadows of concern. "Jessica?" she called softly, eyes searching Jessica's for understanding while she approached them. "Yes?" Jessica managed, dread flooding her. "We need to talk." The low, serious tone echoed in Jessica's ears, sending her heart plummeting. As she instinctively drew Lucy closer, Jessica knew that whatever news awaited, it would shape the unfolding story of their lives, perhaps more dramatically than she could have ever prepared for. "What is it?" she whispered, her voice barely escaping her lips. The nurse's expression didn't change, but Jessica could see the weight of it all in her eyes. "It's about Willow and how she was hurt." Each word felt like a punch, one she couldn't brace against. Some part of her wished she had ignored that sinking feeling. Now, all she could do was brace for the reality of the situation as they stood there, suspended in that moment. The door to the future cracked open wider, pulling them into an uncertain path. What lay ahead for Jessica and Lucy? Would fear conquer their budding joy? And then, with deep breath, the nurse continued her words, forming shadows that threatened to darken everything. What would they discover next? Jessica's heart raced as she watched the nurse take a steadying breath. "Willow is stable," she said, her voice gentle yet firm. "But she has sustained a significant head injury. We need to monitor her closely, and I advise you to prepare for some difficult conversations with her parents." The relief of knowing Willow was stable collided violently with the weight of what Jessica just heard. She could hardly grasp the idea of a child, an innocent little girl, suffering like that. An image of Willow's bright eyes and beautiful smile flared in her mind, and the thought of that light dimming threatened to crush her. Turning to Lucy, who was still nestled against her, Jessica forced her lips into a smile. "See, Willow is brave, and the doctors are going to help her." Lucy, however, sensed the tension and frowned slightly, squeezing her mother's hand. The innocent glow behind her eyes flickered, and Jessica's heart ached with the knowledge that the little girl could feel the shift in the atmosphere. "Can I draw a picture for her? It will make her feel better," Lucy exclaimed brightly, suddenly bursting with determination. The idea broke through the heavy air, like sunlight cutting through a storm. Jessica's heart swelled with pride. "Of course, sweetie. That's a wonderful idea." Just as Lucy began to bounce on the tips of her toes, her excitement flourishing, Jessica felt Evan's presence beside her. "What can we do?" he asked quietly, but the urgency in his voice suggested he already knew there was more at stake here than just a simple accident. "We should talk to Willow's parents," Jessica replied, a knot in her stomach tightening. "They will need support. We might be the only ones here who can help." Evan nodded, his brow furrowed. "Right. We'll need to be strong for them, too." They glanced back toward the front desk, where Willow's parents were speaking with another nurse, their expressions etched with fear and disbelief. Jessica's heart ached at the sight. The weight of it all pressed upon her chest, and she took a slow breath to steady herself as they approached. Jessica noticed the way Willow's mother stood, hands clenched tightly at her sides, her lips pressed in a thin line. It was a look of powerlessness that Jessica recognized all too well. She reached out and placed a comforting hand on Willow's mother's back. "I'm so sorry. We're here for you," Jessica said, her voice firm, hoping to offer some strength. Willow's mother turned, and her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Thank you. I just don't know how this could have happened. She was just playing." Her voice cracked, and Jessica could see the despair tightening like a noose around her throat. "Accidents happen, but she is strong. You have to believe that," Evans said, the compassion of his words wrapping around them like a safety net. In that moment, Jessica felt an unexpected connection with these strangers, forged by the shared pain of parenthood. Their problems became her own, the fear of losing a child resonating as if it were her own buried concern. Suddenly, the sound of an approaching ambulance echoed through the hallway, sending chills through the group. The nurse they had spoken to earlier took a step forward, stealing her expression. "This is just the beginning," she said gently but firmly. "It will take time, but I assure you, the staff here is dedicated." As they waited, the air hummed with the tension of uncertainty. Jessica squeezed Lucy's hand, fiercely protective. "We will get through this together," she whispered, a vow to herself and to those around her. But as the doors swung open wide and the paramedics rushed in, Jessica felt her heart sinking back into the unknown. They were on the brink of a huge emotional storm. What would it bring? What would they all face next? And just then, as a wave of fresh panic washed over the room, the doctor stepped through the door, his expression grave. What news would he bring? The doctor's presence felt like a heavy weight pressing down on Jessica's chest. She glanced at Evan and saw the concern etched across his face. He looked like he wanted to reach out and hold Willow's parents, to tell them that everything would be okay. But the air was thick with dread. With a deep breath, the doctor approached the group, adjusting his glasses as though preparing to share catastrophic news. Jessica could hardly believe it. She needed courage from somewhere, anywhere, to withstand the moment. She could feel Lucy's small fingers wrapped tightly around her own, a tiny anchor in a rising tide of fear. Mr. and Mrs. Green, the doctor began, his voice steady but quietly ominous. Willow is stable for now, but we are not out of the woods. The next few hours will be crucial for her recovery. Willow's mother swallowed hard, the sound echoing painfully in the silence. What does that mean? Is she going to be okay? Jessica squeezed Lucy's hand a little tighter, trying to channel strength into the small gesture. She could hardly stand the uncertainty, much less the agony that streaked across Willow's mother's face. It means we are monitoring her closely, the doctor continued. I hope for a good prognosis, but we must be prepared for the possibility of complications. There it was, the threat of uncertainty lurking around like a ghost ever present, always haunting. Jessica could feel the room shrink around them, time stretching into an unbearable silence as despair threatened to seep in. Memories of childhood laughter rushed back to her, the fun, the innocence, the endless possibilities. How could it all be at risk for someone so young? Willow is a fighter, Evan said, stepping forward, his voice strong yet soothing. She's lucky to have a lot of people who care about her. As he spoke, Lucy tugged at Jessica's sleeve, her eyes wide. Mommy, can I go see her? Maybe my picture will make her smile. Jessica hesitated, her heart torn. Sweetheart, we need to let the doctors do their job first. But when she's ready and awake, I promise you can show her your drawing. A few moments passed, filled with exchanged glances and deep breaths, as they processed the weight of their words. And suddenly, amidst the stillness, Willow's father took a step toward the doctor, desperation reflected in his eyes. Please, just tell me there's hope. We can't lose our little girl. The rawness of his plea hit Jessica like a wave, knocking her breath away. How could anybody endure such pain? The uncertainty for Willow echoed in her own heart. The fear that life could change in an instant was pounding like a drum in her ears. I can't promise anything, but we will do everything in our power, the doctor replied, his voice a mix of professionalism and empathy, an unsteady bridge over the turbulent waters of anxiety. As he spoke, another nurse appeared behind him, her eyes scanning the room before landing on Willow's parents, offering the smallest of reassuring smiles. The best thing you can do is stay strong for her. She needs to feel your love. Jessica watched as those words soaked into the parents' worried expressions. She wished there were more she could do, more to offer than just her presence. Suddenly, Lucy's voice broke through her thoughts, a lilting note of innocence that felt like a balm. Can I pray for her, Mommy? Tears pricked at Jessica's eyes, and she nodded slowly, choked up. Yes, sweetheart. That's a beautiful idea. As Lucy closed her eyes, tilting her head slightly, Jessica felt that glimmer of hope, fragile yet undeniable, sweep through her. It was a reminder that, even in the darkest moments, the light could still find a way to break through. But just then, the doctor's phone buzzed sharply in his pocket, cutting through the moment like a knife. He pulled it out, his face shifting subtly. We need to go. There's been a change. It's serious. Jessica's heart stalled, a new wave of fear crashing over her. How could things shift so quickly? With urgency rippling through the air, the doctor turned, preparing to race back into the chaos of the emergency room. As thoughts of Willow surged through Jessica's mind. She couldn't help but wonder if they were about to lose everything they were fighting for. The connection they forged with this family now felt even more precious, even more vulnerable. Would they find the strength to face whatever lay ahead? Would hope be enough? With her heart pounding, she braced herself for what came next. Jessica felt as if the world had narrowed to the silence surrounding them. The doctor's alarmed expression bore testament to her worst fears, and the weight of every uncertain moment hung like a heavy curtain. She pulled Lucy close, feeling her daughter's small frame quiver against her. It was as if time had fractured, stretched thin, and every second marked a struggle that felt inconceivable to bear. Evan stood at her side, an unwavering pressure of support against the tide of fear. We're here, Jess, he murmured, his voice a steady rock as chaos threatened to envelop them. Can we do anything? Jessica found the words barely escaping her lips, the desperate need to act churning in her stomach. Her instincts as a mother screamed for proactive measures in the face of such insecurity. Just stay close to each other, Evan replied, his gaze flicking between Willow's parents, who were caught in a trap of dread, and the beckoning door that the doctor just rushed through. The best thing we can do right now is be present. Minutes trickled by, each one thicker than the last. Jessica rocked Lucy gently, breathing in her daughter's innocent scent, grounding herself in the warmth radiating from that tiny figure. In that swirling storm of uncertainty, Lucy's bright spirit was a beacon, evoking a flicker of hope that felt desperately needed. "She'll be okay," Lucy whispered without prompting, as if sensing the nervousness blanketing the space. "Willow is really strong, just like me." Those words broke through Jessica's armor of anxiety, her daughter's faith igniting something deep within her heart. Willow's light, the sparkle of childhood, meant more than just one moment in time. It was a connection, a thread woven between families through shared joys and laughter. "You're right, Lucy. She is strong." Jessica smiled, clutching her daughter tighter. Finally, the door swung open again. The doctor reappeared, his brow furrowing slightly, but holding a glimmer of determination. Jessica leaned closer, the lump in her throat building. "Willow is stable," he said, relief flooding through Jessica's veins like a life-giving current. "She has regained consciousness, but will require further monitoring. It's been a terrifying experience, but she is a fighter. We'll keep her here for continued observation." A wave of relief washed over the gathered parents, though weary eyes glistened with tears held back for so long. Jessica glanced at Evan, who met her in a silent embrace, a testament to the strength they had found together amidst the turmoil in that moment. Lucy tugged gently at Jessica's sleeve, her little voice breaking through the shared embrace. "Can we go see Willow now?" Jessica's heart melted at the thought, pride washing over her at her daughter's unwavering spirit. "Definitely. Let us go show her your drawing." As they made their way toward Willow's room, the air felt lighter, a hopeful current sweeping through them. Jessica kept Lucy's hand firmly in hers, her heart swelling with pride at Lucy's resilience. It was the essence of parenthood, the celebration of each triumph illuminated by the innocence of youth. Inside, Willow lay in her bed, surrounded by soft blankets and the faint scent of antiseptic. Her eyes glimmered as they met Jessica's and Lucy's hopeful gazes. "Lucy, you're here," she exclaimed, her voice still soft and a bit raspy, yet full of warmth. The comfort radiating from that small body made Jessica's heart ache in the best of ways. "Look what I made for you." Lucy beamed, lifting the crayon drawing proudly. "It's you and me and the sun." Willow's smile widened, the corners of her eyes crinkling with joy. "It's beautiful." "Thank you, Lucy." Jessica watched the two girls share radiant laughter, a moment of pure joy that stitched together the complexities of their lives. She felt Evan's presence behind her, a steady reminder of the journey they had embarked upon together. "Children have an amazing way of finding light," Evan said softly, as if reading the emotions swirling through Jessica. "I couldn't do this without your support," she replied, turning to him. "You're right here, and it means the world to me." He smiled, eyes filled with an understanding that transcended words. "Family means we stand together, no matter what." They watched as laughter flowed like a current, each moment a stitch binding these families closer through everything they had faced. The day had shifted from uncertainty to a shared bond rooted in empathy, warmth, and hope. As Jessica sat alongside Lucy and Willow, her heart swelled with a quiet realization that unfolded within her. She had faced her fears, embraced love, and discovered a community glimmering just beneath the surface of life's struggles. She took a deep breath, allowing joy to settle back into her heart. Everything felt lighter, brighter, infused with endless possibilities. "Here's to many more adventures together," she said softly, joining in their laughter. And in that joyful sound echoed strength and love, an unbreakable connection forged through understanding and care. In the warmth of that bond, Jessica found her answer. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she had found love, community, and resilience, a new path illuminated, just waiting to be explored. And as the evening fell softly around them, they all understood together they could face anything. Now is the time for you to make your voice heard. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now because your engagement feeds the algorithm. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about this life-changing ending. What did it mean for you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. This is the moment to show your support. And only true fans truly understand how much these actions mean. Don't wait not even one more second to share this story.